Ghana began the exploitation of oil in commercial quantities. Prior to this, the Salt Pond oil field had been producing crude oil, although not in appreciable quantities. Joining the group of oil exporting countries has boosted our revenues, but its overall impact on our economy has been grossly exaggerated. The advent of oil production has led to high expectations. While Ghana has great prospects with expanding our hydrocarbon sector, compared to Nigeria's production of 2.4 million barrels per day, Ghana's average oil production of 105,000 barrels per day in 2014 can be considered chicken change. It is also important to note that only a percentage of the annual oil revenue goes into what we call the annual budget funding amount, that is the ABFA, and is available for government to spend. By law, other portions of the oil revenue have to be set aside both for the stabilization and the heritage funds. On the whole, Ghana therefore remains a net importer of fuel. Future prospects could, in the midterm, bring Ghana to about 300,000 barrels a day, future prospects. However, oil has seen a dramatic fall in price from above $93 per barrel about a year ago. Oil has slumped to below $30 per barrel, and international forecasts for oil remain very sluggish. While it is expected that the industry would see a recovery by the end of the year into next year, except for some cataclysmic events to cause severe disruption of oil production, the days of high oil prices may be gone for good. Ghana's future in respect of hydrocarbons therefore lies in an effective utilization of our gas reserves. And this is exactly why the gas prospects in the ENI Sankofa field and the Greater Jubilee development will be the anchor for Ghana's economic prosperity going into the future. A guarantee of 2,000 megawatts of gas-fired power over the next 20 years, with more discoveries being made, will bring to reality the vision of making Ghana the power hub of West Africa. Ghana is already making strides in the downstream petroleum sector. With the restructuring of BOST and the revamping of TOR, Ghana is set to become the petroleum hub of West Africa. With all our petroleum strategic reserve tanks full across the country, we are holding perhaps the highest product inventories in the history of this country currently. We have therefore had to resort to petroleum exports to create space for fresh products to be unloaded. 40 articulated tankers a day load from BOST Bolgatanga depot bound for Burkina Faso and Mali, and these have become a recent export business for BOST. Also recently, BOST won a tender and supplied 35,000 tons of petroleum products to Côte d'Ivoire. This success story and an ongoing swap arrangement with Nigeria, where finished products from TOR are exchanged for value in crude oil, has set Ghana well on the way as a major petroleum distributor in the sub-region. It is also worth mentioning that the transition to a lower middle-income economy in 2010 has been associated with its own challenges, including dwindling grants to support social interventions, as well as higher interest rates, shorter moratorium periods, and maturity periods for the repayment of loans by government than previously. Today, as a result of our transition into a lower middle-income country, the maturity period for loans has averagely reduced from 30 to 40 years and above to 20 and 25 years. All these factors rank high in any analysis of the short-term setbacks we have suffered in our performance since 2012. Nevertheless, we celebrate our lower middle-income status and accept the challenge of transforming Ghana into a fully fledged middle-income economy because we've adopted some viable economic strategies, including credible and innovative debt management mechanisms to ensure sustainability. The economy has shown remarkable resilience on the back of our homegrown policies through the Senchi Consensus and the implementation of the Extended Credit Facility Program with the International Monetary Fund. We have together been through short-term setbacks during which the implementation of a new universal salary structure, the single spine salary structure, saw remuneration consuming almost 70% of revenues, with serious shortfalls in revenue occasioned by low gold prices, an initial drop in cocoa with a later rebound, and the drop in oil prices, which is still playing out. We currently are on a path of accelerated growth and economic expansion to create more jobs and opportunities for all Ghanaians, especially the youth. From 3.4% per annum in 2015, Ghana's real domestic product, that is GDP, is projected to rebound to 5.2% this year, 2016. According to the World Bank, this reflects the positive impact of a more stable energy supply and increased contribution from the oil and gas and agricultural sectors. Our medium-term growth prospects, 8.2% predicted in 2017 and 7.5% for 2018, will be above the projected sub-Saharan average of 3.3 to 3.7%. Overall, the outlook of the Ghanaian economy has been positive. With an estimated GDP of almost $40 billion, Ghana is the second largest economy in West Africa after Nigeria. Average GDP growth rate over the 7-year period spanning 2009 to 2015 is 6.8% and compared to 5.8% per annum from 2001 to 2008, and between 4.4% between 1993 and 1999. Also, the UNDP reports that gross national income per capita for Ghana at 3,852 is still higher than Kenya at 2,762, Senegal at 2,188, and Cote d'Ivoire at 3,171. This per capita income figure places Ghana second to Nigeria again in West Africa. Prudent economic measures have seen a consistent reduction of deficit to GDP from almost 12% in 2012 to 6.9% in 2015. And this is expected to decline further this year to 5.3%. Inflation is slowing, the local currency, our DSCD, is stabilizing, and the growth of public debt is decelerating due to a new public debt management strategy. Probably most significant is that for the first time in Ghana's history, and I repeat, for the first time in Ghana's history, government is living within its means by paying all its expenditures from its own revenues. And that is because this year we are implementing 0% central bank financing of the budget. What this means is that government is financing its budget from its own revenues without resorting to the traditional 10% borrowing from the Bank of Ghana. This adjustment has required many bold decisions and significant sacrifices by the Ghanaian people. Many a time have been torn between implementing a new policy to move us onto a higher dimensional plane, carrying with it the risk of unpopularity, or managing a situation to prevent courting the displeasure of my people. In all these moments, the question I've asked myself, what is the alternative? Will the decision inure to the benefits of present and future Ghanaians? And if the answer is yes, I have gone ahead and implemented the decision. Populist decision-making to gain one fame is the easiest thing to do, but ultimately the effect would catch up with you or be passed on to a future government. Today, the steps we have taken together are leading to predictions of brighter future prospects from 2017 and beyond, as contained in the Economic Intelligence Unit and the World Bank reports. Posterity is always the ultimate judge. Macroeconomic stability has not been achieved at the expense of investment in the real sector. Underlying the resilience of the economy, the expected accelerated growth and poverty reduction in the past 7 years is massive investments in economic infrastructure across our country. In the road sector, mention can be made of the Kwame Nkrumah and the Kaswa Interchange projects, the 3 billion Ghana cedi Cocoa Roads Improvement Project, and highways such as the Western Corridor Road project from Takwa through Bogoso, Ayamfuri, 94 kilometers, and the Eastern Corridor Road project from Dodopepesu, Nkwanta, through Esekuma Junction, and also the Fufuso Road, 143 kilometers. Asphalt overlay of roads in all principal cities and towns in the country, including Cape Coast, and many other ongoing road construction projects. Transportation improvement works are also ongoing at the Kotoka International Airport, a $1.5 billion expansion of the Tema Port and Takoradi harbors, as well as many other areas of the transportation sector. Investments into the power sector are also being pursued. Last year alone, government ramped up an additional 800 megawatts of power to augment our existing generation. This substantially has put an end to the power sector challenge, infamously known as Dumso. But more work needs to be done if we are to put Ghana permanently at a level of enjoying sustainable power, and we're working towards doing just that. As you well know, the FPSO Atta Mills, named after President Atta Mills, is already in Ghanaian waters and is almost ready to begin producing oil and gas from the TEN field. Ghana currently has the second highest access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. The proportion of our population having access to electricity in 2015 was 80.5%. And this is up from 45 to 47% in 2004 and from 58% in 2008. With climate change and the low water level in our hydropower dams, the shift from cheap hydro to more expensive crude oil-fired generation has resulted in a steep increase in tariffs for power consumed by both business and residential consumers. As we move into the gas era and shift the greater portion of our generation onto a gas-fired mode, supplemented, God willing, by some hydro and renewable energy, the savings in costs would be passed on to consumers with businesses and industry to have the priority for cheaper power. I said this already, so that we can create more jobs in the system. We intend to correct the current situation where business and industry pay more for power to subsidize residential consumption. With a current installed capacity of more than 3,000 megawatts and current consumption above 2,000 megawatts, if we had enough gas to power our current stranded assets of almost 600 megawatts, what I mean is we have power plants today that are not producing power because we do not have enough gas to feed them. And so when we have enough gas, it means we'll immediately have 600 megawatts of power more than we currently are doing. And so if we had enough gas to power our current stranded assets of almost 600 megawatts, power exports could become an immediately feasible prospect with the advent of the regional electricity market at the end of 2016. ECOWAS is setting up a regional electricity market. And so any country that has excess electricity can put it on the market and sell it to other countries that have a deficit. This fits into my strategy again to make Ghana an energy and power hub and we're working towards achieving that. This certainly brings more job opportunities, not just for entrepreneurs, but also for job seekers. In order to sustain growth and remain glued to the agenda to transform the structure of the economy, targeted interventions in agriculture, the service, and manufacturing sectors are ongoing. A few examples, either of ongoing or just about to commence projects, to emphasize my point will suffice. We're deepening efforts in the project to achieve the production of 20 million broilers to reduce the importation of poultry products by 40% by the end of this year. This will save the economy about $150 million per annum in poultry exports. This project was launched in July 2014. A total of 650,000 birds were raised, processed, and sold by 2015. And this has created 8,150 direct and indirect jobs for poultry farmers. A similar project in rice production has succeeded in cutting down our rice imports from $392.3 million in 2013 to $215.23 million in 2014. Direct support to local pharmaceutical entities to the tune of 51 million Ghana cedis is also expected to reduce our pharmaceutical imports. The Kumasi Shoe Factory is already employing about 200 people, and it is producing footwear for pupils of our basic schools and for security services. The Savannah Cement Factory at Bwipe has employed 2,000 people, young people, to work at the factory. The Ghana Free Zones Board has in the Free Zones Enclave 16,372 people between 2013 and 2015. A private investor is presently working on a factory to manufacture high-quality tiles, and this will also create further opportunities for job seekers. Increased exports from cocoa by the distribution of free cocoa seedlings and the cutting down of old tired trees is ongoing. The Commander Sugar Factory, and I was there just yesterday, will be commissioned in the next 3 weeks. It will reduce our sugar imports significantly and will employ directly and indirectly about 7,300 people. Indeed, they have announced their prices already. They'll buy a ton of sugarcane for 60 cedis, and the farmer will earn a 10 cedi bonus for every ton of sugarcane sold to the factory. And so, for the young people in Commander and Elmina area interested in going into sugarcane farming, this is an opportunity. Diversified exports in oil palm, coffee, cashew, shea nuts, shrimp, and fish aquaculture, textiles and garments, and light industry are all additional strategies for increasing export earnings. The business process outsourcing center, which has been completed, would create an additional 10,000 jobs. Apart from reducing our balance of payment challenges, the numerous targeted interventions to improve the capacity of local farmers and manufacturers has also had a multiplier effect on the job creation agenda in this country. My current major targets in the next term of my presidency, God willing, will see the completion of the gas processing and gas export infrastructure and the power park planned for Bonyere, Domunli area in the Western Nzima area. Then 2, the revival of the Osagifo power barge, which is capable of producing some 300 megawatts of power. Then 3, scaling up and sustaining the operations of the Volta Aluminium Company, Valco. And then 4, establishment of an integrated bauxite and alumina industry. And then the next is revamping the Tema shipyard. The next is reviving and extending the Ghana's railway system, implementing the Lonro Oil and Gas Services Port, the Pualugu Power and Irrigation Dam as part of the Sicily Coolpond project, and the Sada Nasia Nabogo Agricultural Irrigation Project among many others. Through these projects, my hope is to create hundreds of thousands of jobs for young Ghanaians. And I invite the private sector to join me once again in pursuit of these lofty goals. Ladies and gentlemen, government continues to be encouraged by these indices, these developments in our indices, because our collective hard work is propelling our dear nation Ghana in the right direction. We're educating our young people, we're creating more decent jobs for Ghanaians, especially the youth. In conclusion, in this presentation, I have spoken about the concept of development as both a process and a state of being by relying on our own experience and the luminary insights of great scholars. I've brought the multidimensional nature of development to the fore and taking the position that growth is a necessary but not a sufficient precondition for development. I've shown that Ghana is changing and that this change is transformational in nature. I've presented facts that point to the direction the Ghanaian economy is taking by showing increasing resilience in the face of short-term setbacks, which have been fueled by global challenges, and that accelerated development has occurred since 2009. Today, Ghana's short-term prospects are said to be brighter than ever, as growth and transformation beckons, promising more decent jobs and prosperity for our young people. Government will continue to work with you and other stakeholders in this direction. I urge you to take advantage of the numerous rising opportunities becoming available in this country. The opportunities abound. The Venture Capital Fund, Maslock, NBSSI, the Youth Enterprise Support Initiative are all available to support you. Ladies and gentlemen, here in this auditorium and across the nation as I travel around, I see budding entrepreneurs amongst you who will grow small businesses into multi-million-dollar business conglomerates in the future and employ people far beyond the expectation of government. I also see academics who will support such businesses with their research and innovation. And that's why I've decided to spend 1% of Ghana's GDP annually on research and development by the year 2020. But last but not the least, I see a nation filled with an energetic, innovating, and promising youth ready and willing to take advantage of the rising opportunities that government is generating together with the private sector. This is possible because we've navigated the rough terrain and have found ourselves on the path of rising opportunities, entrepreneurship, and a changing Ghana. Our country, Ghana, is changing, and the change is occurring in the right direction because it is backed by the implementation of prudent, sound, and deliberate policies and programs which I pledge to continue to lead as president. This change is not by accident. We're doing the right things, and that is why I commend you and all Ghanaians for the sacrifices, fortitude, and hard work that you have undertaken over this period. Together, we can change lives and transform Ghana. I thank you once again, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana.